So, I've been asked to do a bit of a coming out video, and that's something I haven't really done here, so hey, why not? So, growing up, I guess I kind of always knew that I was different. I didn't have the language for it, but I always knew that something wasn't right. You know, I had short hair, wanted short hair, wore boys' clothes, played with Tonka trucks and Ninja Turtles, hated Barbies. You know, my mum tried to get me in modelling, and I was long golden ringlets and all that kind of stuff, and I hated it. And yeah, I was always one of the boys. And growing up, when I used to play catch and kiss at 6, 7, I'd play catch and kiss with girls, not boys. Yeah, so at 17, I came out as gay. And then around 23, I think funnily enough, my mum said that I had conversations with her around 19, around transitioning and stuff, which I have no memory of, but apparently it happened. And then, 23, I stumbled across a Facebook group for gender fluid people and trans guys, and I was just like, oh, wow, okay, this is a possibility. And I got my first binder, and I cried when I put it on for the first time, and kind of came out to my then partner, whole fiance, and, she was pretty adamant that she couldn't be with a guy, so kind of went back in and came back out and, went through the process of starting tea, and then, got posed with a couple of questions related to my childhood that I had to deal with first, and, took a couple of years and then started tea. All in all, from first coming out to medically transitioning, first figuring out my gender, I first started really questioning it and thinking about it around 23, but I didn't start testosterone until I was 31. I took a long time to try and figure out my own crap before making those kind of decisions. Testosterone's pretty permanent changes, and I needed to be sure that that's exactly, was the right decision for me. But growing up as a kid, it was a different kind of era. I remember when I went through puberty started going through puberty, and my chest developing and all that kind of stuff, and crying and begging them not to be there because I wasn't meant to have them. I've never liked my chest. I've never, it's never been a thing that I've enjoyed, or even before I transitioned, I hated everything female about me. And talking to ex-partners and stuff, my first girlfriend, her and I have had quite a few conversations, and there's things that I don't remember of being 18, 19, and funnily enough, I refused to wear the girls' uniform at work. I felt uncomfortable in it. I hated it, so I asked for permission to wear the men's. And I was allowed to, so it was great, and that's what I did. And I used to get called young man and sir and all that kind of stuff all the time, and I used to tell her about beaming from ear to ear and going out and clubbing and stuff. I used to have guys dancing behind me thinking I was a guy. And then I'd turn around and they'd be like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. So, yeah, it's always been there. It's just I wasn't so much aware of it and didn't have the language or the words to use to express how I was feeling, and getting that gender dysphoria diagnosis and figuring out that it was possible, and then figuring out that I'm actually intersex, and now in the process of genetic testing and all that kind of stuff to find out if I'm actually chromosomally female, because there's so many things that have been happening the last 8 months that just don't seem right if I am. I've just done my first shot in over 8 months. I haven't needed to do a shot in 8 months because my body has somehow on its own sustained testosterone for that long. So it's pretty crazy to try and, figure out what's going on with my body, and the biology behind it is pretty insane, because the particular intersex condition I'm looking at, it kind of makes a lot of sense. I had, born appearing female, transitioned and live as male, and have ovaries and a uterus, but they don't work. Well, my uterus does, but my ovaries don't. I don't ovulate. I never have. They've never been able to show that I have. So, yeah, it's, I've got to get MRIs and stuff for health conditions that I'm now getting looked at. So there's a very real chance that if there's something in there, they'll find it. Which is pretty cool. But, had I been a kid now, I would have been picked up, and I probably would have, been able to go on puberty blockers and start testosterone. I never would have needed top surgery. I haven't had it yet, but in saying that, I wouldn't change it, because I've got a perspective in this life a lot of people will never have. I've lived in this world as both a man and a woman, and as much as the TERFs and the transphobes say they can always pick, they really can't, because I've literally had to tell doctors with, open curtains to close it, because I haven't had top surgery yet. Like, it's a crazy world we live in, and the more we're learning about biology and our chromosomes and how everything works, it's incredible, to finally see that who we all are is okay, and it doesn't matter, like, we are who we are. But it's pretty incredible seeing these kids now coming through and not having to hide who they are, and not having to spend, 30 years as someone they're not. They get to be who they are as kids, and it's incredible. And, us older trans people and, queer community, full stop, as much as they're coming for us, we'll protect these kids, and that's what we do. But yeah, it's a little bit more about me.